megacycles by authority of the Federal Communications Commission. A test program follows. To you who are trained technically, I need hardly say that there's still a number of problems to solve. I guess you know them as well as anybody knows them. But I think we've proceeded far enough to justify the statement, at least, that these technical problems are not insurmountable.
So moving to the blue matchup, we'll let Woody start us off with Vizier H Sparkle Press.
Sparkle Press is a fantastic name.
It really is.
So here we've got a 57 stats Coda. There's a lot of interesting things happening with this deck. I mean, this deck's always, it's kind of cool to see decks like this. It's like, oh yeah, wait, like Keyforge can continue to throw like weird stuff at you, even if it's from the first set.
Right.
Because like immediately I'm seeing a Logos with a potential to have a really big library access play, which again, the sort of further down the SAS ladder we climb, I think that becomes like more potentially problematic if you're playing against it. There's ways to shape your hand into that really nicely, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But so the Logos I see being kind of like pure speed. Having double remote access isn't like fantastic, obviously, but if you have a library access turn, and you're putting out all of these dock booked-ins, or you already have them out, or whatever it is, like with Fogify and everything like that, that could be pretty good. That could be pretty like sort of deadly if you're setting up a play where they can't remove the booked-ins and stuff like that.
Right. Because you're drawing all those cards, and then you're saying you can't fight these, and I'm going to draw a bunch of cards next turn.
Exactly.
It's a double threat.
Possibly also with the bat drones being a threat to steal if you can't fight them off the board. Like you
Sure.
really just need that removal to be out of hand. But yeah, moving to Sanctum, Virtuous Works is really great at this level. Again, just like it bumps up the expected so much. A couple things that kind of bring this deck to earth is this double Hollowed Blaster, but it could also be the case that like saves a Booked-in or a Maxina or something like that.
It also has the Merchant, which is going to gain the Amber off of them.
Yes, exactly. And it's one of those things where if you're you can get kind of sort of screwed if you wait around too long if you're trying to have a big Merchant play. I don't know if that's a thing in the meta, but it might as well be. The deck does have 7 artifacts in general, which is pretty messed up. If you have a Hail, the Merchant out there that can't get moved.
Right.
Which is a nice segue into the Shadows, because you've got 2 Subtle Mauls, which I think is great. Like because going Shadows and taking 2 cards out of their hand is just like so messed up. A lot of good stealing cards in Bait and Switch. Double Ghostly Hand again, like the Printed Amber is great. There's 18 Printed Amber in the deck. The deck, it's funny, the Amber control's listed at an 8, but it looks like it's got to be more than that. And then, with the double Naughty, double Bat Drone, all of this stealing happening. Evasion Sigil's a thing. I don't know if you play it, because it does affect both.
And in this deck, you definitely play it, because it's going to save your Bat Drones and your Merchant and your Naughties. Like,
yes. Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, and then there's the Sting, which, again, I'll say is a card that a good pilot will know how to use sort of masterfully. I think we've all had moments of not using that necessarily correctly. Having it with Gorm is really nice, because then you're destroying it on any turn. You don't have to go Shadows to get rid of it. You can just destroy it whenever, if I'm correct.
Yeah, Gorm is an Omni, so you would just be able to pop the Sting immediately after catching it in. Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
if you have everything set up, of course. Yeah. So I should move to the blue deck here. I mean, the Midwest Martians deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really really cool. So here we have a um, Octave the Ferocious. I don't know how to translate I don't know that shaman word, but
Something of the force.
of the force. This is we know enough of what that name means to know that it is a Brobnar Saurian kind of beat down deck with 20 creatures. The Untamed actually has a good amount of beat down in Xenos as well. So we're looking at one of those kind of high creature decks that can run away from you if you don't have enough creature control, which is something that the KiP deck doesn't have. So, let's look at what we got here. We've got triple Grok, which is going to give you this really nice kind of amber control for the SAS level. It's not going to save you from massive amber rush, but it'll neg your opponent 3 amber potentially in the game. Stiltkin with Fire Breath is really interesting because it turns it into a kind of more problematic card. The same with Skull. I mean, we're just looking at a deck that is really, really nicely kind of like, it's a nicely constructed Brobnar at the SAS, right? Every single creature is going to become a threat, and if you don't take care of that board, it's going to be a problem. Now, I'm going to look ahead to the actual specific matchup for a second, because the one Brobnar card I have not talked about is Barehanded, which is an absolutely brutal piece of artifact removal for a deck that, in a matchup against a deck with 7 artifacts. For those of you that want the refresher, it's going to take every artifact and put them on top of the opponent's deck. That's going to be massively problematic for a lot of decks, especially at low SAS where artifacts become more and more valuable. Moving to the Saurian, we've got a board clear and Axiom of Grist, double stomp for removal. Imperial Road is really nice at this SAS to kind of, you could toss out an Odawak out of turn or a Brachis out of turn. The Odawak obviously to turn off stealing, the Brachis to try to threaten to spend that amber that that you might be putting on. You're going to be doing that via your Shattered Throne and Brobnar. So basically when you fight, you're going to get that amber on top of your creatures, and then you can toss out that Brachis to threaten to spend that captured amber. So that Saurian and Brobnar is just working together really, really fantastically to coat your line in amber, so the Axiom becomes very asymmetrical, right? The Barehanded is going to do artifact removal. Shattered Throne is going to do that capturing of amber in addition to your 3 Groks, negging 1 amber per fight. Just really, really cool. I love Saurian Brobnar synergy, so I'm very, very into that. The Untamed is just really, really nice as well in terms of, at this SAS level, because, Xenos is going to become a lot better. Witch of the Wilds is going to let you play out of house, which becomes super, super relevant when you're looking at 2 power cards with Mimicry and Key Charge. So you're going to be able to potentially cheat keys out of turn. Out of house. Or you're going to do that Mimicry out of house. The Taliga is really, really interesting because there isn't really any like significant way to protect it. You do have like a Scudum that you could like toss on it, but like if it's living for that turn, unless I'm missing some taunt in the deck or something, but the Taliga is a threat that needs to be taken care of. So what we really, really have here is this very synergistic Brobnar Saurian. The Untamed has those 2 power cards of Mimicry, Key Charge. Taliga is a threat. Witch of the Wilds is a threat. Those cards kind of must be taken care of with your removal. So if you have a limited removal, you're kind of dealing with those Witches and Untamed, and then the Saurian Brobnar is going to take over. Now, all of that said, the deck has like no expected amber, has like no amber control, right? Like it's playing this game on the board, and if it doesn't get that Shattered Throne against a deck that can really, really generate, so moving to the specific matchup, I think you're going to have some degree of a problem here. What do you think, Woody?
It's interesting. I mean, there's a similar play with the Taliga and Fogbank,
Yeah.
where you keep it alive for a turn, and there's really not much else as far as protecting it. Um, you could maybe put Fire Breath on it and try to beef it up.
Hmm.
But that's really kind of it. So it's a kind of a similar thing with the Fogify and the logo stuff happening in the other deck. But like as far as the matchup, yeah, I think the creature control and the effective power is really nice in this Midwest Martians deck. Um, I think some of the Saurian stuff, like with Brachus and that kind of thing, could really give it an advantage. It really needs like a tribute or something like that. Um,
Right. Yeah, the play is the Shattered Throne. Like an early Shattered Throne, I think would be devastating for KiP
yeah,
potentially.
I think that's true.
That being said, the actual creature control of this deck is kind of low. It's all in the effective power and the fighting.
Yeah,
So those two Fogifies are really going to be a foil to what Octave is trying to do here.
yeah. Although I do think that like the Axiom is a full board clear that Vizier does not have a board clear, right? It's got to play on the board with its creatures, um, which isn't a bad thing because it does have a good amount of creatures and a fairly it's 86 effective power, which isn't bad.
Right.
Um, but the board is going to be won by Octave here.
Yeah. So it's a matter of, can Vizier produce enough amber fast enough to make that irrelevant? Like to make what, because like Octave kind of has this kind of inevitability that we're talking about, right? Where it's going to build board. It's got barehanded for that artifact removal, which is really, really pesky for Vizier. So in some ways it has this inevitability, but again, it's got like no amber that it's producing on its own to some extent.
I
And
I think
yeah,
Vizier needs to be played with like a lot of trust in this matchup. I think you have to trust that your printed amber is going to catch up and that you'll simply generate more than they can capture because besides Shattered Throne and it's really interesting, right? It's like do you put down the evasion sigil just as like a bit of a defense against Shattered Throne? Because
right.
I feel like with Vizier you almost want to be fighting into their line and trimming it down because you just can't have the Brachus going off and the Stenopius and all that kind of stuff.
Let me throw a thought at you, and then we'll move to the red deck because time limitations and all that. But what if you just don't play creatures in Vizier?
Oh, I love that. If
Other than like the Bookends, to
Yeah,
threaten that, right? Like, but like,
mm,
what if you go very minimal creature because essentially that's going to turn off the Shattered Throne,
yeah, you could still play parts of your Sanctum house
right?
and stuff like that. But I kind of like that idea because unless you're in a position where you can play the naughties, like don't even give elusive targets.
Right. Yeah, just like don't
Oh
give them
yeah,
creatures to fight.
yeah,
Like play only the artifacts that like super matter because you're just gonna win on amber control. There's no way to contest the board. There's no way to contest the board. So I mean, just produce amber.
yeah. That's
It's
interesting.
it's just a thought. If I was playing this matchup, I would definitely try it out. Would be curious to see what they do.
Although then
Um,
you also do run the risk with the artifacts of getting barehanded, and then you've got like a bunch of artifacts with no pips on the top of
yeah.
your deck.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying, right? Like so you like just play the artifacts that you super need, like
Sure.
which are,
Yeah,
you
the
know,
sting. Yeah,
yeah, which is like the sting and stuff like that, right?
right.
And then you basically just play your logos creatures on like that library access, or because
Mhm.
like you're never gonna win that board, and all you're doing is giving them amber control once Shattered Throne is down. It's
Right.
just a thought. I would definitely try it in testing.
Yeah.
So this time I've decided to unmute myself so you hear my amazing commentary. So here we have Justice Blind versus Oot the Monk, with All for One doing the recording. Here and me, Siminian, doing the commentary. So at the top we see there's these 4 Brognar, 2 Untamed at the top with an interesting shadow split. Straight away the cards come down with Evasion Signal and Subtle Maul go down straight away with Urchin. Nothing to steal but gets it out of the hand. But then look at that hand, a Sanctum for Justice Blind. At the top, I'm going to say it's obviously a Brognar turn. We see Stiltkin come down. Stiltkin then has Fire Breath placed in him, something making Stiltkin more useful. Followed by Groat coming down. We see another great hand from above, but I'm guessing this is going to be a Sanctum turn. Yes, it is. So Sequis goes down first, then Franxus. Lady Matsina, who's going to stun Stiltkin, which is action, puts they see actually hand, play, stun a opponent creature, and then you have the Raiding Knight coming in to capture one. So 3-0 Amber at this point. Ooh, Virtuous Works in play there. That's going to be dangerous with Miasma in hand, but we'll see Miasma coming down, and Miasma plays Lights Out. So Miasma Mimicry plays Lights Out. So interesting to see. So we've got 3 Amber there apiece now. And he's going to kick himself for playing that, given the Virtuous Works he has in his hand. Now this is going to be an easy 5 Amber turn for Justice Blind here, coming in. There we go. 8 Amber to 1. Can we get him off check from the Oot the Monk? Let's see what he's going to do. Broken a turn it is. Barehanded goes down. Gets the Amber. Returns Evasion Signal or Subtle Maul to the top of the owner's deck. Slowing down a little bit. Narc will fight Frankus. And Stiltkin comes in, is removed stun, and Groak makes Justice Blind. He lose 1. Stronger hand to come with 2 Molfins and a key charge, but let's see what we have down below. So here we have some of Logos turn coming, I believe. And there we go. Bot booked in, remote access goes in for the Amber, and another remote access. Is he going to play it? Is he going to use it? He keeps it in hand. So Molfin comes down, Molfin comes down. What's going to happen for key charge? Bramble links, Reaps, and discards the key charge. Look at that hand at Broken at the top though. Interesting times. So we see Ghostly Hand come through. 8 Amber and a key ahead for Justice Blind. And look at Logos hand ready to go for next turn. And we see Oot the Monk coming through, definitely behind on this one. Centurion Stophius comes in. We see Stomp coming down to get rid of Bat Drone. Imperial Scrotum is coming down. Questagata is coming down. Imperial Scrotum is going on to Centurion Stophius. I mean, he's got the battle line. Don't get me wrong here, but he hasn't got the Amber or the Amber Generation. I mean, look at this Logos hand that we're about to see come through. I mean, Twin Bolt. What we're going to see coming through. So Bot Buttons there, Reaps to draw a card. Then we see Remote Access comes in to use the Golden Spiral to ready a friendly creature. Ready and use Noddy the Thief. Noddy the Thief not being used yet. Molfin to deal 1 damage because of the Reap. Twin Bolt Emission comes in. Random access to archives. Sorry, calling me Scrutum. Force of habit. Justice Blind declares check. So let's see what's going to come through now. So this is, he's on check. Can he be stopped at this point? So the Moot saying he's messed up because he can't fight to stop it. But let's see what comes through. AEmber Blue comes in, doesn't help particularly. Imperial Rose, Center Bracas, Calfine, Groak. And that is game. Just as my Blindlings wins 2-1. 2-0 KiP total then. And we come to